equilibrium, equity, fairness in their living while living in this world. That's what Allah has commanded. And He has not declared unlawful that you having a nice dress and eating nice food and that kind of thing. Rather, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants people to consume these things in balance, in moderation, and they are actually provided for the believers, especially in the hereafter, they will be only for believers. What Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has prohibited people from is that they say إنما حرم ربي الفواحش ما ظهر منها وما بطن, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has declared unlawful all fawahish. And you know, fawahish are any ideas or views or words or deeds or actions or behavior which have sexual overtones, but they are not between a husband and a wife. All those kind of things come in fawahish. So that's why Allah says, I have prohibited. And whether it's open or secret or whether it's public and private, Allah says, stay away from that. And wal ithma is that when you do not fulfill your obligations to Allah or to other people, whether this is huququl ibad or huququllah, not fulfilling those, that comes under ithm. And wal baghy means rebelling against Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and or transgressing against the rights of people. So, and then Allah mentioned about shirk, and then Allah mentioned about that you say about Allah what you don't know. Means anything which Allah Himself has not told us about Himself, we say that thing on the basis of our own guesses and speculation, or we give the examples about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, those which are not Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala Himself given in the Holy Qur'an. Because anything we say from our own will be without knowledge, because nobody has the knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We can say about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala only what He Himself has told us in Holy Qur'an. So then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned that how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it very clear to the progeny of Adam that you are being sent to this earth to live in for as a test. Messengers of Allah will come to you. So those people who follow the messengers of Allah, live according to the guidance they bring, they will be the successful people. They will come back to Jannah to enjoy the bounties for Jannah forever. And those people who reject the messengers or they go against the commands brought by them, then they will be held responsible, they will be held accountable, and they will be punished in Jahannam. So this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying. Ya bani Adama, imma yatiyanna minkum rusulun minkum yaqussuna alaykum ayati faman ittaqa wa aslaha fala khawfun alayhim wa lahum yahzanun. That, O children of Adam, whenever any messengers from among you come to you, describing my signs to you, ayati, my signs to you, then whoever will adopt taqwa and reform, there will be nothing for them to be afraid of, nor will they encounter any grief. So Allah, look at the perception about Jannah Allah gives, that there will be no worries and no grief. So if you look at our life, where are all the problems in our life happen? It either we are worried about something, we are afraid of something, or we are sad about something. There will be no sadness, there will be no worry, there will be no fear in the life of Jannah, and that's the kind of life they will have in there. But for that purpose, there are two things that people have to have taqwa. So as you know, the taqwa is the attitude that all the decisions we make in our life, we make it from the perspective, is that decision going to be, that decision is not going to be displeasing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We avoid any decision, any word, any act which will be displeasing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Rather, we want to maximize those kind of decisions which will be pleasing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, earning the maximum pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Making decisions with that attitude, that's what is called taqwa. And aslaha, obviously, when we are adopting that attitude, then we will be reforming our actions and our behavior, whatever we do on a day-to-day basis. So there will be improvement in there, and that's what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, that whatever lifestyle you are living, whatever lifestyle the society is dictating to you, what is happening in the society, you correct yourself according to the demands of taqwa and reform yourself. If that's the way you live in this world, then the Jannah is for you. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala promises that. On the other hand, وَالَّذِينَ كَذَبُوا بِآيَاتِنَا, that those people who reject our signs, وَاسْتَكْبَرُوا عَنْهَا, and they disregard them with arrogance. You know, when you are not as obedient slaves of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as soon as you find out that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has commanded something, you will immediately say, Sami'na wa ta'ana, we listen and we obey. But if you are not submitting to the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then you think, okay, you are not giving proper importance to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You are actually giving more importance to yourself and your own notions and your own ideas and your own aspirations and your own desires. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala calls it istikbar, that you are showing arrogance to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Instead of submitting to your Lord, your Creator, your owner, your ruler, you are making the decisions according to your own wishes. So Allah says that those people who disregard the communications and the revelations from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah's commands, and they show this kind of arrogance, أُولَٰئِكَ أَصْحَابُ النَّارِ هُمْ فِيهَا خَالِدُونَ, that they are the people who will be inmates of the fire in which they will live forever. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala clarifies a concept that if people disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they reject His revelations, they do not make decisions according to the guidance provided by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they don't adopt taqwa, they don't reform themselves, that Allah still is very kind and let them get the results of their efforts in this world. Whatever efforts they make, they still get the benefits, although He could have deprived them from any benefit they can achieve from their efforts. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't do that. He is testing us in this world, so He does not interfere with our decisions. He does not interfere with the results of our efforts. All efforts we make, we get the results. Doesn't matter who makes the effort, whether a believer or disbeliever, whether a good person or bad person, you still get the natural results of your efforts in this world. So that's what Allah says, أُولَٰئِكَ يَنَالُهُمْ نَصِيبُهُمْ مِنَ الْكِتَابِ, that whatever system Allah has put in place in this world, according to the system, people keep getting the results of their efforts. Nobody is deprived the results of their efforts, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is noting down, the angels are recording, it's all record is being kept. So whenever we make wrong decisions which are not aligned with the guidance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then we will be held accountable on the day of judgment and we will be dealt accordingly. The important point is that sometimes we think that we are only responsible for what we do. And we forget that any action we take in this world has implications on other people. For example, if parents are doing something wrong, most probably their children are going to do those mistakes as well, or practicing wrong things. If there is a leader who is followed and the leader does something wrong or has wrong ideas, wrong beliefs, and does bad actions which are not liked by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then their followers will be doing the same thing as well. So what will happen is that in this world, lot of times people just keep following whoever they want to follow, their parents, the society in general, the leadership, some thought leaders, some philosophers, whoever. So when they are held accountable and they are put in the fire, Allah gives a scenario there that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will be putting people one after the other like in the fire. So when kullama dakhalat ummatul la'anat ukhtaha hatta idha daraku fiha jami'a. So whenever a new group of people is thrown in the fire, the earlier people, they will be cursing each other. And once they are all there, the people who were coming before, and the people who were following them later on, they will be blaming each other. So the subsequent generations will be blaming the earlier generations that you misguided us. The followers will be blaming the leaders that you made us do the wrong things. And they will say that, Ya Allah, because these people misguided us, so give them double punishment. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala respond, قَالَ لِكُلٍّ ضِعْفٌ وَلَكِنْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَ, that everybody will be getting a double punishment, but you don't know. Why everybody will be getting double punishment? Because everyone who does something wrong has impact in the society, and overall the society environment is made wrong, bad, and those people under your influence, they kept doing those wrong things. So the effect of your actions continues from generation to generation. So that's why Allah is saying that not only you will be held accountable what you did, but all the effects which happen in the society from your actions, you will have to take that burden as well. You will be punished for that influence you had in the society as well. So you can imagine that we are not only responsible for what we have done, but we will be responsible for that from copying us, following us, whoever did those wrong things, without any reduction in the punishment which will be given to them, those people who set the example, wrong example, they will be also punished extra for that impact. And that's why you can imagine that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not make the judgment in this world. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has left the judgment for the hereafter, because the full impact of your good deeds and the bad deeds on the society will not be totally accounted for until the world ends. So that's why this is one of the reasons. Although there are Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to complete the test and then declare the results on the day of judgment, and the full impact of your behavior will not be realized until the world ends. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that, okay, whatever good example you set or whatever bad example you set, here are the consequences of those. and Allah will hold people accountable accordingly. So you can imagine that we have a huge responsibility, not only for our behavior, but also whatever our behavior leaves the effect in the society, uh, we will be punished for that as well, or rewarded. If we set a good example, we'll be rewarded for that as well. So one thing Allah has clarified here is that Allah will not accept the excuse that, Ya Allah, I didn't know any better. My religious teacher, my political leader, my parents, my society, or they misguided us. Because whatever example other people set, whatever they tell you, the final decision is your own decision that you did something. If you did something good, it's still your decision. If you did something bad, it's your decision. Although you may be impacted by other people, but Allah gave you the mind, Allah gave you thinking power, Allah gave you all these abilities, so you should have used those abilities to understand what is the right decision to make, and if when you made the decision, it was your decision. So that's why you cannot shift the responsibility to anybody else that they misguided you. It's your own responsibility because it was your decision. And you can also understand from there that that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not hold people accountable until they become adults, according to the Islamic definition of adulthood. Before that, because the children are under the lot of impact of the society, so once they become adults and Allah gives them the questioning ability to question everything what they see in the society, then after that Allah holds them accountable that now you will be responsible for every decision you make. So now sometimes people have, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is very forgiving. He's very merciful. But sometimes people misunderstand Allah's mercy and His forgiveness. And they think that they can continue doing whatever they are doing and Allah is going to forgive them. Allah says, this is not the situation. Inna alladhina kadhabu bi ayatina wastakbaru anha. The same words which were used earlier. That those people who reject or reject our signs, our revelations, and disregard them arrogantly, لا تفتح لهم أبواب السماء ولا يدخلون الجنة حتى يلج الجمل في سم الخياط وكذلك نجزي المجرمين. That their entry into Jannah is as impossible as a camel going through the eye of a needle. You know how small eye of a needle is? Then just imagine, just as it is impossible for a camel to pass through that eye of the needle, that's how impossible it will be for those people who deliberately continue to disregard the guidance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and by their actions they reject the commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by not following them. Allah calls them mujrim, the criminals, and who will not be able to enter Jannah in any situation. لهم من جهنم مهاد ومن فوقهم غواش وكذلك نجزي الظالمين. That they will hellfire both as a bed as well as covering, means over and under everywhere they will be surrounded by the fire of the hell. Thus do we recompense the iniquitous, those people who are wrongdoers, those who are unjust. That's how they will be punished. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala uses the word zalim because it is the justice requires that we obey our Creator, our owner. When we don't obey Him, we are doing injustice. So that's why zalim is usually translated as unjust, wrongdoers, iniquitous, all are those words which describe that. So, on the other hand, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala always reminds us, وَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ لَا نُكَلِّفُ نَفْسًا إِلَّا وُسْعَهَا. And those who believe and do good deeds. And look at this. Again, the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When we talk about the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, these are the aspects of mercy. La nukallifu nafsan illa wusaha. That we do not require anyone to perform beyond one's capacity. So Allah wants us to do good deeds, but He is not expecting to do something which is impossible. He is holding us accountable according to what we can do honestly. And if we are honest to ourselves, we can judge that what is possible for us to do and what is not possible. And Allah knows also that whether we are using any excuse not to do something good, oh, I cannot do it, or whether in reality it was beyond our power. But Allah says that He does not expect anybody to do anything beyond their power. Whatever Allah commands, our commands are according to our power. So if whatever is in our power and control, and we do the right decisions in that respect, we do behave according to the guidance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then Allah says, Ulaika ashabul jannah. They are the people of Jannah. Hum fiha khalidun, where they will be abiding, living forever. And not only that, وَنَزَعْنَا مَا